we're not going to go. If the meeting, when I'm there, is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting.
The president in Florida with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The FAA plans to order inspections of fan blades like the one on a Southwest Airlines jet that made an emergency landing in Philadelphia Tuesday.
Investigators believe the fan blade snapped off, leading to debris hitting the Southwest Airlines plane and a woman being partially blown out of the window. She later died. The NTSB is still trying to determine how a window came out of the plane.
Fox's Tom Graham, the engine's manufacturer, recommended inspections last year. European regulators ordered them last month. Fox News. We report, you decide.
This is Jack from Banyan Hill. You like freedom? I do. You like money? I do too. If you like freedom and money, then you're going to love Freedom Checks. You see, over the next few months, an estimated 30...
Baloney. It's baloney. 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 I was out there getting some baloney and they wouldn't sell me my baloney.
But I still like baloney on white bread.
Little pony, my little pony, a bunch of baloney.
Yeah, that's a lot of baloney.
A bunch of baloney.
Baloney. Oh, please. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Dumb ideas come from people who have dumb brains. I am a truth machine, sir. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't be a liar. I eat them up for breakfast. You lie to me, I'll wipe up the floor with you worse than anybody else who's ever tackled you. You better tell me the truth because I'm much smarter than you are. I love the truth. Yes, sir. If you don't tell me the truth, you're going to be eating your shoes. Crack a baloney. Excuse me? On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day when I'm sleeping. There's only one person who gets the last word, and that's me.
I thought it was a bunch of baloney.
Here is your 1-minute news brief from the source WOCA. An accused drug dealer in Ocala has been indicted on first-degree murder after Ocala police say he sold a woman heroin and fentanyl that caused her death. Ocala Police Chief Greg Graham said 47-year-old David Long was selling heroin to females, shooting them up and then violently raping them. Senators Marco Rubio and Bill Nelson hosted a school safety roundtable in Washington, hearing from parents of victims from the Parkland shooting on Valentine's Day, asking for fortified school buildings and stricter safety measures. A ballot amendment to ban greyhound racing is being challenged with a lawsuit filed by the Florida Greyhound Association. Florida wildlife officials in Lake County are searching for the people responsible for spray painting a gopher tortoise with red paint. And Disney has announced a new interactive mobile app set to launch this summer called the Play Disney Parks app that lets guests access experiences only available in the theme parks. And that is your news brief from the source.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 82 at the coast, 88 inland. And mainly clear Thursday night, lows in the upper 50s inland, 65 along the coast. For Friday, more sun than clouds. It'll be breezy. There may be a shower in spots along the coast, high 74 at the coast, but 83 inland. On Saturday, a mix of clouds and sun and breezy with a chance of a shower, high 75 at the coast, near 80 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Broadway's mega hit Mamma Mia is live on stage at Ocala Civic Theater May 17th through June 17th. ABBA favorites like Dancing Queen, Super Trooper, and Mamma Mia are all part of the fun musical about what happens when you surprise your mom by inviting all three men who might be your dad to your wedding. On sale now. 352-236-2274 or buy online at okalacivictheater.com.
All right, thank you. 25 minutes before 8 o'clock, and we have a really good morning. A lot of guests coming into the studio this morning, and it's always exciting when we have in-studio guests. Before we do anything, though, I just want to explain the whole baloney thing. If you've been listening to WOCA for a long time, I hope we have your trust. The Martones, who own the station, have done everything to make sure that you don't hear something that is a bunch of bull, okay? And so when this ad comes on, it's not us. This ad's trying to sell you these things called freedom checks. I'm going to tell you something. I looked into it. I have seen, first of all, you see all kinds of websites glorifying it, saying it's real. Oh, come on. They all lead to the same guy, okay? Mm-hmm. The ones who are real, though, are the ones telling you that you can invest money on your own without having to pay somebody, which is all this guy does. He invests money for you. When you see the testimonials on his video, listen to what I did, okay? I'm sorry, we're going to get into the flying thing in a second. But I want you to know this. Look, Google has this amazing thing to do a reverse search, okay?
Right.
So they have these guys on there. Look at this guy. He's standing so happy with a big smile, and he just got a check for $20,000, and he's going to get another one next month. Okay, what did he do? Well, he signed up for Freedom Checks. Okay, do a screen grab. Get that guy's picture. Do a reverse search. You know where he is? On a dementia website.
Does he have dementia?
I don't know, but he might be a model for all I know. But the same face shows up. His name is Larry Lyston. I don't even know if that's his real name. That's the name that they use okay? So just for the listeners, I want you to know two things. First of all, don't fall for that crap, and I promise you, every time it comes on, I'll do the best I can to shoot it out of the sky, out of the air. That'll be a great segue to what we're talking about. But second of all, know that it doesn't come from us. Please know that does not come from WOCA, okay? That comes from a network called Fox News. Write them a letter. Say, stop that. I wrote them 3 letters so far. And I thought they got rid of it, but it was back there this morning. So anyway, all right, let me reintroduce our guests. Sky Storms with us. He's a pilot and member of the Experimental Aircraft Association. He's been with us before. You wrote a book. I'm trying to rack my brain to remember. You wrote a book about getting jobs, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You're a professor, correct?
No? Not a certified professor.
At the school, though, right?
Certified, know-it-all, sort of.
But you were helping people find jobs.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's sort of a job coach type of thing.
That's right, yeah.
I teach people how to stack the deck in their favor when they're job hunting.
How long ago was that?
It's a long time, but it's still a topic in interest. It's interesting to most people. I spoke to a group of 40 seniors at MTI last week, and they're all going on to further education, I'm glad to see. Maybe not a 4-year college, but a tech school of some sort. And they've done some planning. This is very good.
That is very good.
A lot of young people get ignored because of the slice of society they come from. See, in our high schools...
Nicely said, yes.
Yeah, the high schools and the guidance counselors do a great job of helping students select proper colleges and like that. They're very good at that. Yeah. But they're not all that great when it comes to guiding people into the workaday world in the blue-collar sector.
Very true.
They haven't been required to learn that in the first place, so it doesn't put them in a very good spot to guide others in that direction. But they do a great job with colleges. And I try to pick up I try to work with the people that don't have that advantage. Yeah, that's right.
Fill in the gap. Oh, I love that. And I love the way you worded that. That was awesome. Sky Storms, good to have you back in the studio. And we're meeting for the first time Ashlee Messenger. In a way, your name is interesting, too. Somebody who wasn't flight the first way we got messages around, wasn't that?
With pigeons.
Yeah, and they flew, right?
Hopefully in the direction you wanted them to fly.
So you guys are both pilots. Ashlee, you're a pilot and a member of the Experimental Aircraft Association, as is Sky. So what is the Experimental Aircraft Association? And then wait for the listeners, wait till you hear what you're going to be able to do.
The Experimental Aircraft Association, based in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, was formed basically as an outreach organization. What we do is we promote all manner of privately owned and flown aircraft. Now, this includes airplanes that you can buy that are factory built, also ones you can build yourself. This is the experimental portion of it. The restored warplane community, the ultralight home-built helicopter community, the ability to pilot a private aircraft in the United States is so unique. The fact that you can, as much like your automobile, you can go out to your airport, get in an airplane that doesn't cost an awful lot of money, and fly anywhere you want, unrestricted, with no permissions required. It's one of the things that makes the United States absolutely the greatest country in the world.
Have you ever flown in other countries?
Yes, and the restrictions are mind-boggling.
Really?
Who you must seek permissions from and the fees that you must pay.
Is that because you're an American, or do the citizens in those countries have the same rules?
The citizens in those countries abide by those rules if they want to fly, and Some of them have enough of a passion for it that they'll put up with it. Others simply don't bother.
Now, the Ocala Aviation, which, by the way, Dan sent me a text asking me to mention that they're sponsoring this segment, so thank you, Ocala Aviation. But they have, I know from Dan, because Dan is over there all the time. He's a pilot over there. And they teach students from all over the world.
Yes.
I think South America has a lot of students coming up to Ocala, right?
85% of our current student body over there is from other countries.
Do you both teach over there?
No, I don't teach there, but I'm somewhat familiar with the problem. And we have so many shortages in the aviation. We're 6,000 pilots short right now in the aviation industry. In another 8 years, if there's no change, we'll be 65,000 pilots short.
Wow.
And we're also short of the mechanics and the people that sell the parts. It's an incredible shortage. The next time you're flying, when your captain says, "This is your captain speaking," he may be using English as a second language if we don't do something to entice our young people into aviation, which we're trying to do with this. But we can talk about this project later, another time.
Yeah. The pilot of the plane that had that explosion in the engine was a lady.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we heard about that, because you don't usually hear about lady pilots.
You don't?
Not that there aren't any. We know some personally, but...
Oh, I know very, very many.
I'm sure you do, yeah. But I drive a car.
27 years as a commuter airline pilot, and we often, quite normally, fielded an entire female crew, both in the cockpit and the cabin.
Is that right? So I wanted to take that and steer it toward the event that we want to promote, which is the able to see and maybe even ride on this one airplane that I got a picture of here. Let me see. Can you hold that in just front of that camera right there? Let me see if it. Let me put the picture on here so we can see it. There it is, right there. Just real quick. Oh, there's a tissue in the way. There's another tissue in the way. There we go. See, fly on the Ford. Why is that called a Ford? Is that the same Ford? This is maybe a dumb question. Thank you, Robin. Is that the same Ford as the Ford Motor Company?
Henry himself, yes.
Okay. So tell me the significance of the tri-motor.
The airplane was conceived in the middle 20s. There was an entrepreneur, a lot of people would say a shyster, from Quincy, Illinois, a fellow named William Stout. Bill Stout went to Detroit to set up to build airplanes, and this was his dream. And his dream was to build them out of metal. At that time, nothing was being done that way because metal was too heavy, and the engines of the day were not very powerful. But he interested a number of the movers and shakers in that area in aviation. It's said that he sent a letter to 150 of the prominent businessmen of the era. Said, "You'll give me $1,000 to promote aviation, and the only thing I will guarantee is that you'll never see your money again." and he made good on that promise. But
it didn't turn out to be an investment. It did turn out to be a loss for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. But Henry Ford's chief engineer, Bill Mayo, took an interest in it. Edsel Ford took an interest in it, and they convinced Henry Ford to invest. Now, Edsel and Bill Stout gave, or Bill Mayo gave Stout $1,000. Henry didn't invest, but he said that if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And he put the full power of Ford Motor Company behind this, eventually bought the little company that Stout was building, and designed and built this three-motor airplane. And said if we are going to promote aviation in the United States, it's going to have to be done with the power of Ford advertising. It's going to have to be done with the power of Ford engineering, and we're going to make a safe and reliable airplane.
Was the vision for the airplane at that time the same as it was for the car, that eventually everybody would have one?
Not so much. Henry was interested in large airplanes operated by skilled professional operators and airlines.
Like we have now.
Yes. Now, he did delve into a private airplane called the Flivver that never did very, very well to tap into that airplane in a garage, everybody's garage market. But that didn't take off well.
So the tri-motor. I mentioned something earlier, and I don't know who I learned it from, maybe Dan, first passenger plane ever. Is that right?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
There were earlier ones. Fokker in the Netherlands built a large three-motor airplane. It had wood wings. This is the first one to ever be made completely out of aluminum, and very robust airplane.
Aluminum is lighter or heavier than wood? I would think it'd be lighter.
A little heavier. Well,
heavier, really?
Yeah, a bit
Really?
heavier than wood, but a lot more robust. Not subject to rot and glue failures and things like that.
Our discussion earlier about young people finding work and young people becoming pilots dovetails a little bit into this, because I'm thinking that if you bring a young person to the airport to fly in this, which you are going to offer, right? That's
Absolutely,
happening?
yes.
I don't know. That to me, if I was a kid, this would just make me want to be a pilot, you know?
I would hope that would be the case.
So when can we fly? Oh, 19th through the 22nd. So coming up.
Yes. We'll actually start this afternoon.
Today, that's today.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Wow. Okay, so today. So how do we fly? How do we get in this?
You simply come out to the airport. You'll see many, many signs and banners directing you where to go. Walk up to our little airplane and say, "I'd like to ride on that airplane."
You're kidding. That's all it is?
Yes, indeed. $75 will buy you a seat.
I don't got to go to Expedia or anything like that?
No, you don't. just see us. It's a very hometown thing. Now, I need to warn you, if you do come out, you may be propelled as fast as 90 miles an hour. Some people are very sensitive to that kind of thing.
Can you feel it? Like you know, how the bigger the airplane, you don't really feel like you're going however fast they go.
As low as we fly, yeah.
Oh, you feel it?
Yeah.
So does 90 feel fast when you're up?
It does during the takeoff and landing. Once we're up, it's very sedate and very lofty. The airplane is noisy. They're propeller, piston-driven propellers, and it rattles. It will be warm.
Do you know,
inside.
Robin and I had the privilege of being able to fly in a B-17. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
It was super noisy.
Very similar.
From that airport, from the Ocala airport.
Similar.
Yeah.
How many people can fly in
We
this?
take 10 at a time. 10 at a time. It was first airplane that hauled enough people that they had a slim possibility of making a profit in those days. This particular airplane that we're operating today is very significant. There was an outfit advised by Charles Lindbergh in 1928 and 29 called Transcontinental Air Transport that eventually became TWA Airlines. And their vision was that you would be able to fly from coast to coast. Both ways.
The vision came true.
It did. This particular airplane was involved in the inaugural day. It flew the second trip from Columbus, Ohio, westbound.
Is that right?
And not, it's not the kind of airplane it did. It is the airplane that was there.
Really?
my
That's awesome. So it's sort of, no, I'm not a plane guy, but it sort of reminds me of the one that Charles Lindbergh flew in. Is there any similarity at all?
Oh, they're extremely similar. The engine is very similar, except it's more large. They're larger and more powerful.
Did he have more than one? He had one.
He only had one.
He only had one?
Yeah. He had one.
Wow. So why three? Why are there three engines?
That was a large. Well, first off, it needs it
for the weight.
Yeah, in those days, to carry that much weight, they needed the power. But Ford promoted that as reliability. You'll never have a problem. You may have one engine fail, but you'll never have all three fail. And,
I like that for marketing.
In those days, that was a real possibility.
I would say so. Yeah.
So that's what they put up.
I'm always amazed that engines are measured in horsepower, because horses can't fly.
No.
And this guy, your chapter is responsible for bringing the Ford Tri-Motor here.
Yes, we've had them here twice before, and both times were very successful for them and for us. Before I forget, I want to mention that every seat on this airplane is a window seat and an aisle seat. So you've got the best. So you've got the best of both worlds. You can't lose.
So there's 5 seats in each row. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. There's 2 rows of seats, one down each side.
And do you have a pilot and a co-pilot in the plane? Or?
No, it's flown by one pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very sophisticated.
It was for its day, though, no?
For its day, it was considered huge. It was considered sophisticated. Henry Ford required buyers to send their pilots to Ford Training School in Dearborn, Michigan, because of the complexity of this airplane. And we kind of laugh at that today because it is dead simple compared to what we're used to.
How much does it cost? I see a price on here.
$75 for a ride.
To ride. And where are we going to go?
We're going to go over Ocala. At the speed we go, you can't go very far.
I can't wait. So will you go over the mall? Wave at me when you.
We certainly will.
Are you going to? Well, it's not too far from the airport,
no,
really.
I think this would be perfect.
It's a good day. Nice weather today, anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I have flown over Ocala in one of the small planes, the kind that Dan flies. In fact, we went on a Discovery flight. I think Ron was our pilot, right?
Yeah. When they were first getting pilots for this plane, did they go to the pilots that fought in the war before this?
That was the source of almost all pilots at that time were ex-military pilots. So we trained a number of them for World War I and never did deploy as many as we trained. That after the war, you could buy a surplus training airplane for just a few dollars full of gas, and all of these out-of-work vagrant pilots were out there. And as the businessmen of the era decided that maybe we could do this in an organized fashion, they began to tap these pilots, train them and employ them and give them honest work.
Oh my gosh, the out of work and vagrant associated with pilot and veteran just seems so sad in a way.
And it's so, I don't know.
It's so unfair.
That would not happen today, now would it?
They were trained. No. Yes, it does happen today.
Of course it does.
And it's just so sad that we have this amazing training and the amazing skills, and they can't find work sometimes. And yet there's so many openings, you say.
Well, you have to know where to look. It's just like job hunting. Well, if you restrict your search to what you see in the newspaper, that's extremely narrow, because probably 10% of available jobs are in the newspaper. There are hundreds of thousands of available jobs that never get advertised at all.
Oh my gosh.
So you need to develop the skill to go knocking on doors yourself. It's old news, but knocking on doors. Say, here I am. Let me present myself. These are my credentials. Well, I'd like to work for you.
Can I just use this opportunity? I'll make it sound like an ad, and it's appropriate because Ocala Aviation is sponsoring this segment. They can teach you how to, if you're watching the video or the live thing we're doing right now, they will teach you how to become a pilot. And they've got a connection, and Dan could help me with this. Maybe you guys know. What's the university they work with? So you can get a full degree, not just the pilot's part.
Embry-Riddle.
Are they working with Embry-Riddle right now?
Embry-Riddle is in Daytona. We have one of our members has put together this brochure for training young pilots, and he actually is a professor at Embry-Riddle, but he also teaches a class over here at Trinity High School.
All right. So, go today, see the plane, take a flight, and just get the bug. I actually had this bug when I was younger. I just never, pursued it, but.
There's time left.
Nah, I don't think so. You don't want me doing that.
Ashlee, do you do your own maintenance on the airplane?
We have a maintenance support team based in Oshkosh, Wisconsin that maintains the airplane. And anytime that it breaks, which is not very often, we joke that it doesn't have any moving parts, so it never breaks. But it's it's almost a 90-year-old airplane, and it is unbelievably reliable. We almost never have any difficulty with it. And when we do, a GO team from Oshkosh is on the road immediately to get the airplane repaired. These old radial engines, the way the engines are designed, are notorious for leaking oil, and that's the joke among because they were very loosely mating surfaces are very loosely built. The tolerances were wide in those days. But these engines have been tuned to the point where they don't leak oil, and people are amazed. They come up expecting it to be spewing oil, but it doesn't.
Okay.
It starts up every morning. It runs every day. I've never even 40 years professional flying, I've never encountered an airplane as reliable as this one.
My mom's mom, when my mother was little, they lived 4 miles away from Billy Mitchell Field in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
And when the warbirds would come by, they would be flying so low, my grandmother would be hanging out her sheets, and all of a sudden there's this oil on her sheets, and she was yelling at them, and then she had to redo her
and
sheets.
And that's true.
Yeah.
But we've got these to the point where they just don't do that. And my wife jokes this is my 90-year-old mistress, because I leave home and out on the road I go with her. So
when you see the airplanes today take off from the Ocala airport and they have the propellers, those engines are more sophisticated than this engine, or is this engine more sophisticated than those?
Well, they're very akin to each other. The modern engines run at a little higher RPM, swinging a smaller propeller, and they're usually 4 or 6 cylinders arranged opposed completely around from each other. These engines are very high torque but high horsepower engines, and they only run in the 17 to 1900 RPM range.
Oh my.
So they lug and have they impart a very soothing feel to the airframe. They got this. It just feels
like muscle.
Yeah, it feels.
Your wife is right. This is a mistress. You're right. The way you talk about it. Can I put a phone call through to you guys? You got to.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something?
I did want to make a little sidebar comment. People frequently think that pilots are rich because they can fly, but the average guy who has a bass boat and a nice pickup and a trailer to pull has got more money invested in his hobby than I do in my airplane.
Is that right?
That's right. You can buy a small, old airplane for anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000, and that's less than a bass boat outfit.
Oh my gosh.
I had no idea.
Very affordable.
All right, let me squeeze in a phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling in, for waiting. You're on with Sky Storms and Ashlee Messenger.
Yes, thank you very much. I was born and raised a few miles south of Oshkosh, and let me tell you, every summer for that event, it was a big thing for southern Wisconsin. I believe it was the busiest airport for one week in the world.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
A real quick question about the tri-motor. Was that kind of like the beginning of airmail?
Yes, airmail was being flown in open cockpit biplanes before then, and the Ford Tri-Motor only survived because the airlines operating it got airmail contracts. So when an organized route system of airline service was available, then the Postal Service would let contracts to these guys, and they'd carry the mail.
Wow. Hey, thank you, Hugh. Thank you for the call. I used to think New York was the center of the universe. I'm starting to think Wisconsin is. There's so much happening over there. So the airplane is there now?
Yes.
It's here.
It's here.
Wow. So we can go at any time to see it.
Absolutely. No charge for, and we want people to come out and look at it, walk around it, touch it, get in it.
Today, tomorrow, and Saturday,
and Sunday as well.
Or through Sunday.
Yes.
Okay.
Today, this afternoon, is a media event. If you'd like to come out sometime around 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, we'll have people dressed in period clothing, and the Ford Tri-Motor surrounded by some Ford Motor products, cars, pickups, and so on.
Oh, nice.
It'll be interesting.
So yes, today is the day. Tomorrow through Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. We've recorded this, so we'll put this.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Will you guys be able to answer questions about the Experimental Aircraft Association and other things that we've talked about?
Absolutely.
Today?
Yes.
And if you're thinking about becoming a pilot, there's a school right there, Ocala Aviation. Yes. Thank you for sponsoring this segment, you guys. And Dan, thank you if you're listening. Let me get something to get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck. Everybody else, go down there and go fly on the airplane. It's $75 for the walk-up price. If you fly in, I guess it's a little cheaper. I'm teasing. All right. The Ocala Airport, if you don't know, gosh, everybody knows where it is, right?
Southwest 60th Avenue.
Flytheford.org is the website also for the airplane, right?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump and Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe talked about North Korea during their two-day visit in Florida, also trade and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP.
President Trump says trade imbalances are being corrected through tariffs.
It's got us to the bargaining table with many nations, and in other cases, they're paying.
Though the president says the U.S. could be lured back into the trade pact if new terms more beneficial to the U.S. were offered.
Fox's Evan Brown. The president goes to Key West, Florida today to meet with an anti-drug trafficking task force and tour a naval air station. A 35-year-old ban on movie theaters in Saudi Arabia is over.
The Hollywood blockbuster Black Panther screened in a concert hall, part of the cultural reforms under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, reversing the ultra-conservative dogma that banned movie theater screenings in the 80s as sinful.
Fox's Therese Crowley. Fox News. We report, you decide.
This is Jack from Banyan Hill. You like freedom? I do. You like money? I do too. If you like freedom and money, then you're gonna love freedom checks. You see, over the next few months, an estimated $34.6 billion is up for grabs to anyone who stakes their claim. Yep, you heard right. $34.6 billion. To get all the details, just go to www.freedomchecks225.com. Thousands of people are...
Baloney. Nonsense. That's a bunch of you-know-what. You're telling a bunch of nonsense.
Baloney. It's baloney. 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 I was out there getting some baloney and they wouldn't sell me my baloney.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Gene is a proud United States veteran.
Here is your one-minute news brief from the source WOCA. An accused drug dealer in Ocala has been indicted on first-degree murder after Ocala police say he sold a woman heroin and fentanyl that caused her death. Ocala Police Chief Greg Graham said 47-year-old David Long was selling heroin to females, shooting them up, and then violently raping them. Senators Marco Rubio and Bill Nelson hosted a school safety roundtable in Washington, hearing from parents of victims from the Parkland shooting on Valentine's Day, asking for fortified school buildings and stricter safety measures. A ballot amendment to ban greyhound racing is being challenged with a lawsuit filed by the Florida Greyhound Association. Florida wildlife officials in Lake County are searching for the people responsible for spray painting a gopher tortoise with red paint. And Disney has announced a new interactive mobile app set to launch this summer called the Play Disney Parks app that lets guests access experiences only available in the theme parks. And that is your news brief from the source.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 82 at the coast, 88 inland. And mainly clear Thursday night, lows in the upper 50s inland, 65 along the coast. For Friday, more sun than clouds. It'll be breezy. There may be a shower in spots along the coast, high 74 at the coast, but 83 inland. On Saturday, a mix of clouds and sun and breezy with a chance of a shower, high 75 at the coast, near 80 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
April showers bring May flowers, but May is easily the most special month for Palm Garden of Ocala.